At 7 o'clock this morning, my mother went to be with the Lord Jesus. Sweet Rhodabel. And she loved you all so much. She loved this church, and you all meant so much to her. And I know for me that the news is very fresh. And some of you may wonder why I would stand here today when my mother had just passed away. Well, those of you that knew her and my father would understand why. I received a phone call, Karen and I did, on Friday, and we knew that Mom had taken a turn for the worse. And most of you know that she was living in Huntsville, Alabama the past year with my younger brother. And so at 11 o'clock in the morning, Karen and I got in the motor car and we drove to Huntsville. In fact, we drove there and back on Friday. Spent nearly 13 hours in the car. But I'm so glad that we did. And when I walked in and saw my precious little mother lying there, and it was very evident that she was beginning her journey to heaven, and sat there next to her for nearly 2 hours and just held her hand with my brother and with Karen and my brother's wife, and she couldn't talk or say anything until I knew I had to get back. And we had such a beautiful celebration of the life of Jodine Hoyle here yesterday. Precious man who went to be with Jesus, and I so wanted to be back here to preside over that funeral service yesterday and to see what God did yesterday. And I knew that I had to go, and we'd get back in the early hours of the morning. And Mom all of a sudden opened her eyes, looked straight at me, and she whispered, "I love you so very much." And that was the last thing she said. This morning at 7 o'clock, the angels came and picked her up and just carried her into the presence of the Lord Jesus. And there would be my dad. And the two of them would have looked down upon here and said, "I just hope my sons understand one thing. There is nothing more important in this world than telling people about Jesus. Nothing." My mother taught me that. I couldn't be in a better place today than to be with you, my family and friends. Both Karen and I feel that. As my two sons preach the gospel today in Pittsburgh, and my daughter, whose heart is broken on the other side of the world and wishes she could be here, but she is serving the Lord Jesus. And you know, we go through these things in life. All of us do, don't we? Every one of us. And it's a wonderful thing to know Jesus. Where would we be? My mother sang her way across this world. She taught me and my brothers to live life to the fullest, because that's who Jesus is. "I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly." The Christian life is an abundant life. I stand here today because Jesus is alive. Because my mother is with Jesus. And because I shall be too one day. And you will be. We all will be. All of those of us. That's what Christmas is all about. Christmas in my family was a fun time. My mother taught us that. She turned everything into a stage. Everything. She had a song for everything. It was all about Jesus. She had little sayings. And she brought such joy. That's one of the reasons I so look forward to the Christmas Eve service. I want to invite you to come if you're in town, if you're able to. Our 8 little people, grandchildren, are going to be with us. Karen and I plan to bring them to the glow stick Christmas in the hangar at 4 o'clock on Tuesday evening. It is going to be incredible. That's why we're going to do that. Not just because I'm the pastor of the church. Because I want to teach my grandchildren what my mother and father have passed on to me. It is about joy. And that's the reason I can stand here today and sing and celebrate the Christ of Christmas and tell you how much I love you and thank God for you today. And I tell you that with all of my heart.